Hi everyone! Today I'm going to go over how I drew this model with graphite, charcoal, and a black and white colored pencil. But first I want to go over some of the materials I used for this piece. I'll also have a list of them in the description below as well, but I just want to go over them very quickly. So I used a regular mechanical pencil, nothing fancy or expensive, a 4B soft charcoal pencil from Generals, a black and white colored pencil. The black pencil is from the Faber-Castell Polychromo set, and the white pencil is from the Caran d'Ache Luminance set. I also used a 0.05 micron pen or marker for the very dark, intricate areas since the drawing isn't very big. I also have various erasers, the Tombow mono eraser, a kneaded eraser which can come in a case or just wrapped in plastic, but here's what it looks like outside the package, and an electric eraser. And for my blending tools, I used a tissue, a Q-tip, a small brush from the Artist Loft, which is a very cheap brand, and a few blending stumps of various sizes. So the first thing you want to do is make sure you have an accurate sketch, whether that be through grid method, plotting and measuring, tracing, or freehand. I then started with her eyes, and I went straight in with my black colored pencil to color in her pupils and her eyelash line on her upper lid. I then used my mechanical pencil to lightly color in the areas around her lid and the lid itself. I'm also going in with my black Faber-Castell Polychromos pencil to darken areas further, and if I need to lighten anything up, since these features are very small because the drawing is quite small, I use my Tombow mono eraser. I'm also making sure that I'm outlining the creases in her eye and mapping out her eyebrows. Once I get those areas dark enough, I then go in with a Q-tip to blend the area. Notice how I'm holding the mechanical pencil far back towards the end of the pencil, especially while outlining the bridge of her nose and her forehead. And this is to ensure that I get soft lines. I really don't want dark, harsh lines outlining her face, as that really wouldn't look realistic. I then went in with my 0.05 stylo pen. And I used the stylo pen because I didn't feel that my black pencil was dark enough, and with the stylo pen I can draw these smaller details easier, like her eyelashes. I also have a small brush I use that is dedicated for my graphite pieces, and because I don't want her face outlined too dark, I like to use this brush to outline and draw with. So what I do is I scribble on a scrap piece of paper, and I use my brush to pick up some of the graphite, dab off the excess, and use it to draw or outline my subject so that I can create a nice transition of blending. So then I begin working on her nose and darkening the nostrils and adding in my shadows, and then I work on her mouth, darkening the areas where the lips meet, as well as areas of her upper lip. Note that the lower lip is lighter than the upper lip. So now I'm just darkening and refining the nose a bit more. I then start shading in under her jawline and chin, and you'll notice that her neck is much darker because of the shadow from her jawline. You'll also notice that right above her jawline is much lighter, and that's because of the roundness of her face or head. If you've ever shaded a sphere, you'll notice that there's reflective light, and that's basically what's happening here. After that, I go in with my stylo pen and I begin darkening her eyes, mainly her pupil, eyelash line, and her eyelashes. I also darken her nose and mouth further. After that, I went in with my black colored pencil to darken areas and go over the areas where I used my stylo pen so it blends a little bit more with the pencil. This was mainly the pupil, eyelash line, and her eyelashes. I also went over her nostril and between her upper and lower lip. I then worked my way down her neck with the black pencil and then blended with a 4B soft pencil so that I'd have a smooth transition to the lighter areas of her neck. I then focused more on her neck and its structure, and I continued darkening those areas as well. So for the shoulders, I lay down a light layer of graphite with my mechanical pencil, and I use a Q-tip to blend. I then add more layers and blend. Then I go in with my darker graphite pencil, which in this case, I used a 4B pencil from Faber-Castell to darken the shoulders further. So as I continue to work on her shoulder, you'll notice that I'm using a kneaded eraser to pick up some of the graphite rather than a regular eraser. And that's because I want a smooth transition from light to dark. You don't really want to use a regular eraser where you want to have a smooth transition, as it would be too harsh or drastic because it would pick up too much of the graphite, leaving sharp lines and edges that will be hard to blend later. What's great about having the kneaded eraser is that you can shape it and tap off very little graphite for subtle, light changes in value. For her chest area, I don't really have any tricks or techniques on how to do this. I'm just following my reference photo and being aware of the shapes and my lights and darks. So I'm just darkening everything and around the collarbone. And here you'll probably notice that I am struggling. And what is happening is that I'm having a foreshortening problem when it came to the right collarbone. I just couldn't get it to look right. But eventually I overcome it and I move on. For the ear, I begin by outlining areas of the ear and darkening up the creases and the shadows, including the cast shadow behind the earlobe and the darkest areas inside the ear. After I've established the main parts of the ear, I then go in with a tissue to smooth it out so it looks a little more blended. And then I go in again to reestablish the main parts of the ear, and I begin adding layers and adding any soft shadows I see in my reference photo. For the hair, I start with a basic outline and I use my mechanical pencil to establish the direction of the hair before darkening it. That way, if I make a mistake, I can easily erase and fix it. I then went in with my 4B pencil and a black polychromos colored pencil and blended that out before going in with a mono eraser, adding strokes in the direction of the hair. Now I only did that small section because then I realized it wasn't going to be dark enough, and so I decided that I should go in with a charcoal pencil. So since charcoal doesn't really go over graphite very well, I went in lightly with my mechanical pencil to establish the movement of the hair so that when I go over it with the charcoal pencil, that the charcoal would actually stick to the tooth of the paper. Otherwise, if you go in with the graphite is very smooth and shiny and the charcoal just does not stick to graphite. So I'm basically using the same techniques as before with the charcoal pencil. I'm making strokes in the direction of the hair and coloring in any areas with a lot of shadow. I then go in with my handy dandy brush to smooth it all out, and I'm still going in the direction of the hair. And that's because I don't want start and stop marks or any strokes going in the wrong direction. Everything's gotta flow with the hair. I then go in with my mono eraser, again making strokes in the direction of the hair to pick up some highlights. So at this point, she might look a little weird, but that's only because her hair needs a lot more layers. So again, I'm going in with my charcoal pencil and I'm going back and forth between my charcoal pencil and blending it out and then going in with my mono eraser to pick up some of the highlights. And then I repeat that process over and over again. I'm also adding small flyaways around the edges of her hair, and this will add to the transition between her face and her hair. I'm also keeping a close eye out for dark shadows within the hair and going over those areas more with the charcoal pencil. For the bun, I start out by outlining the bun with my brush, and then I go in lightly with my pencil to get a sense of the direction of the hair before adding in the charcoal. So I know the middle portion of the bun is going to be lighter than either end, and so I'm making strokes going from one end of the bun to the highlight, and then I go to the other end making strokes from that end to the highlight. I then blend it out and repeat the process of going in with my mono eraser to pick up highlights by making the same strokes with it, and then going back in with my charcoal and then blending it out again, keeping in mind where my darkest shadows are so I can add more charcoal to those areas. So you want to make sure you clean off your eraser after each stroke or every other stroke so that you don't end up with smudges within your work. You really want nice clean lines within the hair. And so to do this, you just have to clean off your eraser on a scrap piece of paper like you see me doing here. After I'm done with that, I now add flyaways within the hair to break up the monotony. But I'm not just throwing in random flyaways. I'm looking at my reference photo. But I'm also not trying to copy each flyaway exact. I just want to get a sense of where they are and how they act, and I'm just going to mimic that. And I keep tweaking her hair until I'm happy with it. I also used a white charcoal pencil to add some more brightness to the highlights. So after I'm done with her hair, I start outlining her shoulders, again using my small brush so that the lines are soft. And then I go in with my mechanical pencil to darken the lines more and blend it out. After that, I go back to different sections of the piece, taking a step back and looking at it as a whole and darkening what needs to be darker. And so I'll continue tweaking areas that I see that need to be adjusted. So I really wanted to take this time to talk about Instagram. I finally hit 10,000 followers and I did it pretty quickly. I did it in about 3 months, and that's not when I started my Instagram account. I started in 2017 sometime, but I didn't start working on my Instagram. I wasn't really active on it until October 21st of 2018. And at that time, I had only, I think, a little over 300 followers. And when I decided that I was going to start growing it based on some research, if I did everything right, I was expecting to hit the 10,000 mark sometime between April and May. But I found some tricks along the way, and I'm thinking about doing a video on how to gain a following on Instagram as an artist, especially if you're not able to post every day. I didn't, and this is a topic that I have a lot to say about. So if you are interested in something like that, please let me know in the comments section below, because I'm kind of going back and forth about it, whether it really fits with my other videos or not. So I just wanted to see if people are actually interested in seeing something like that. And if I get enough interest in it, then I'll do a video that will go over some tips and tricks on how to quickly gain a genuine following on Instagram. Anyway, if you like this video, please give it a like, and if you want to see more, please subscribe. If you have any suggestions or questions, please let me know in the comments below. I do answer them, and I'll see you in the next video.